Hi everybody, it's Jules here, and today I am 27 weeks, 5 days pregnant, and I am doing a weekly update. Yay, I can't believe it. So a lot happened, and this could be a lengthy video, so I guess it's better that I don't squeeze this in with any other weeks. But anyway, so at the beginning of the week, I wrote down that I had a paralyzing leg cramp, another one that woke me up in the night. And I did that special trick that my mom taught me. You hoist your knees up and then you scoot your butt forward and then you lean forward. So you're doing this like really intense leg stretch, and it really did help. My uterus has moved above my belly button, and so yes, my belly button's getting like even more shallow. It hasn't popped yet, but it's getting there. But what I was gonna say is that when the baby kicks kind of behind that area, it feels super weird because I guess the skin by the belly button's like thin or something. But anyway, it's a weird spot when it's kicking. So I had a midwife appointment yesterday, and so in week 26, I didn't tell you guys about it because I was kind of embarrassed, but I tripped down the stairs. And it was pretty scary at the time, really freaked my husband out, but I felt fine the next day. The baby was moving fine, everything was fine. I wasn't bleeding, cramping, anything like that. I didn't even have any like bruises or like rug burn or anything to show for the fall at all. So I assumed everything was fine. But my husband said that we should mention it at the midwife appointment, so I agreed to that. And the midwife kind of looked freaked out. I guess it does sound pretty dramatic, but basically there's like a bit of a landing. So on the upper top of the stairs, there's like 3 stairs, then the landing, then stairs down to the main floor, and I kind of missed the last step to get to the landing, and I kind of fell down to get to the main floor. It sounds really, really bad, but it's hard to remember, but I think the way I kind of fell was like kind of slid down on my knees and legs. I had my hands out to kind of stop myself from pitching forward because I was very conscious of not wanting to hit my belly. So anyway, in hindsight, I wish we had just called the next day and dealt with that in the week that it happened, because it felt more dramatic that we waited a week to tell her and then started doing this testing. So anyway, she hooked me up to a heart rate monitor for 20 minutes to check the baby's heart rate. He was moving around the whole time. He, she, it, whatever. The whole time I was hooked up, but we weren't getting the heart rate fluctuations that she had wanted. Apparently one of the indications to show that everything is fine are the fluctuations in the heart rate. So she even had me drink some water. She's like, I feel bad, I'm feeding you candy. But eat a little bit of Halloween candy to try to get he, she excited in there. But the heart rate wasn't really fluctuating like she wanted to. So she called the hospital and booked us in for an emergency ultrasound just to be safe. Like, she did kind of make it clear that this was kind of a safety precaution just to make sure because of the heart rate thing, but all the other signs showed that everything should be fine, right? But we wanted to make sure that the placenta didn't separate away from my uterus, that kind of thing, and that the baby's blood and my blood wasn't mixing for some reason. And a couple other things. So anyway, so we raced off to the hospital and got in there. So that was a different experience, like an ultrasound at the hospital versus like a random clinic. I had to wear the gown just because of the jelly, the girl said, the technician told me, so that was kind of funny. And so, you know, as usual, they do the ultrasound in silence and they don't show you the screen and they don't tell you what they're doing, and you're just lying there like, oh my gosh. And my poor husband's waiting in, you know, the waiting room, and he doesn't know what's going on. But then I wasn't expecting her because I thought maybe because this was like more of like a medical ultrasound. But she's like, oh, I'm going to bring your husband in, we'll show you the baby. And then she did. And we even got some pictures again. So I'll insert one here. And it was kind of more reassuring at the time because it was like, would she really be like showing us and giving us pictures if there's a problem? And then she's like, well, I'm just going to go discuss this with the radiologist, I think she called him, to make sure we can let you guys go. And then the midwife had told us if they'd let us go, then things like that's a good sign. So sure enough, we were able to go. And we were going to run upstairs to hit the blood lab before it closed at noon. So we had to go upstairs. There I was doing the test to see if the baby's blood and my blood had mixed. Plus she threw in the glucose test that I needed to get done anyway, and I think a couple other routine things to check for. So I did my glucose test up there. But Why you have to cry? Yeah. Yeah, you like the new rug. So I drank the crazy drink. We waited an hour. It was nice to have hubby there because I wasn't expecting him to be there for that test, because usually those kind of tests I just do whenever. But we were there and we did that anyway. So during that time we were waiting for the glucose to get into my bloodstream or whatever it was doing. The midwife called me and she left a voicemail because the reception was really, really, really bad in the hospital. So I didn't even get the call, which is actually going to be funny when we deliver, because yeah, we probably won't have like any reception to notify people of the birth or anything. So anyway, that was just a side note. It was like, remember this when you're going to give birth. But the voicemail said that the ultrasound results said everything was fine. The baby got 8 out of 8, whatever that means. I guess the 8 things they were testing for. There's proper fluids in my uterus. The blood flow through the cord was great and reaching the baby fine. And there's appropriate growth for me being 27 weeks and all of that. So that was really great news. So then we went up and we did the blood work, and this morning I talked to the midwife again, and she said that, well, they didn't get the results yet from the glucose test, but the blood mixing test thing, I forget what it was called now, came back negative, so that's good. And my hemoglobin was 115, which I guess is a bit low, because she asked if I was tired a lot, and I said no. So it has to do with my iron. I looked up. I guess I'm back to having low iron. I don't know, I guess I have to keep eating my spinach. I haven't had it in a couple days, so maybe that's why. It's super relieving to know that everything's fine there now. It was pretty scary, I guess, to, you know, be rushed off, and like I said, in hindsight, we should have just dealt with that right away. So don't be ashamed if you fall down the stairs. I've heard it's very common in pregnant women, but so thank God everything's fine, because that would have been awful. So to wrap this up, I told the midwife about my yeast infection probably coming back, and how I was taking the vaginal probiotic. She explained that those pills are to encourage the good bacteria, but don't necessarily rid your body of the bad bacteria, because, you know, there's always bacteria in your vagina, but that I would need to do some kind of treatment to rid myself of the bad bacteria before I did a probiotic treatment. So that was unfortunate that I wasted those pills and money before I rid my body of bad bacteria. So anyway, she told me to try Canesten, since the Monistat worked for like 2 or 3 weeks before it stopped working. And they don't have a 7-day, they have a 6-day, and it's the cream application. So I don't know, I tried it last night and it kind of sucks, but what can you do? Anyway, so I hope the Canesten works better. That's what the brand I always used in the past before I was pregnant, and I never had them recur as much as they have now. So who knows? It's just probably a hormonal thing. That's what I've realized. Everything is just friggin' hormonal around here. And that's that. That was my excitement in week 27. All's well that ends well, thank God. We're very lucky. And I hope the rest of the pregnancy is extremely boring, because that was too much excitement for me, personally. So anyway, hope you are all doing very, very well, and we will see you possibly next week for week 28, but very shortly either way. So thanks for watching, and take care. Bye.